washed and sliced, and a 1/3 cup pickling salt. So what I did, I prefer stoneware crocks, and these are easier to find than you'd imagine. Lehmans.com, LEHMANS.com, has American-made stoneware crocks, just like your grandma and great-great-grandma and everybody else used to use. So there is really a big revival in the equipment needed to do fermentation. Of course, you don't need anything this fancy. All you need is something glass or food-grade plastic. I've seen food-grade plastic 5-gallon buckets. Just make sure it's a food-grade plastic and not and hasn't been used to carry anything other than food. So all I did last night, I weighed my cabbage. I figured out how much salt I'd have to add. And for Napa cabbage specifically, because it's so soft, I chop it really coarse. So I would just go ahead and, you know, like really coarse, like that. Because this cabbage really breaks down quickly, especially with this specific recipe, because this is a high salt on day 1, but then you rinse the salt out, and then it's lower salt on day 2. Coarsely cut, only for Napa cabbage. If you try to do this for normal cabbage, it's not going to work super well. That's why they have those great, what are they called, mandolins for cabbage slicing, where you can just run the cabbage across it and it slices it really thin. That's something I want on my fancy kitchen list. So then what I did is I just put this in the crock. What I do, and it's just good practice, especially since I ferment a lot in here, I do something called scalding the crock beforehand. So I go ahead, I boil some water, I just pour it on the inside, and then pour it out. So I've washed it, it's with soap, and then I just like fill it with a little bit of boiling water and swish it around. And then I just went ahead, I mixed this with the salt in layers. This is actually a Colombian hot chocolate frother. It works really well as a cabbage masher also. Do not tell my Colombian friends what I'm using.
A potato masher.
Yeah, a potato masher would work. So I actually have, you're not going to believe this, especially since they've decreased so much in size since last night. I did this at 5 p.m. last night. I put in 4 cabbages, 4 whole heads of cabbage. And yeah, this is canning and pickling salt. All that means is that it doesn't have anti-caking agents, which can add to like a whiteness in the brine, especially for dill pickles. And it doesn't have any other additives. So you want an additive-free salt.
But you know what else? You use sea salt. Kosher salt doesn't have additives.
Kosher salt has anti-caking. It's weird.
Not flaked kosher.
Oh, okay, not flaked kosher salt. Just make sure that the only ingredient on your salt is salt.
Sea salt or Himalayan salt?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't have anti-caking agents in it. And it won't ruin your ferment, but what it will do is make the brine kind of cloudy and make it hard to tell if you have like a yeast problem or, you know, it makes the brine kind of cloudy. So I prefer to use the canning and pickling salt.
You're right about...
Much brine, but that was enough to cover it in the crock.
Right.
That's all liquid that came out of the cabbage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how much liquid the salt will pull out.
It really is. But taste this. I mean, it is. Oh, just salt.